Welcome to the Core Women Podcast, the place for women entrepreneurs, authors, and self-starters looking to build community and gain valuable insight through expert interviews with women at the top of their game. Join your host, podcaster, producer, expert coach, entrepreneur, and author, Dr. Summer Watson, as she aims to inspire and empower you through these candid conversations. Lean in and embrace the journey. It's time to start the show. Here's your host, Dr. Summer Watson.
Today on the show, I'd like to welcome Laarni Mulvey, proud Filipino-American, women's strength advocate, mind strength coach, author, speaker, and powerlifter. Laarni is the founder of Strong and Mighty Company and the Global Standing and Strength Movement. She is also known as the Power Lady, where she leads women to honor their unique strength. She created the Tools of Strength program to connect the mind and body. Her Women's Strength Initiative aims to provide access to all realms of strength. We have so much to talk about to include your book. So let's dive right into this, Laarni, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and talking with you today.
Well, I'm excited that you're here. So, okay, you have such a beautiful and unique background, Laarni. So let's just take a bit of time to explore your personal journey. Tell us where you grew up, what it was like growing up as a proud, strong Filipino American.
Sure. So I am, just like in my bio, I am an immigrant. I came from the Philippines. I moved to the States when I was 5 years old. And really the whole journey of who I am today started as soon as I stepped on that plane to get here to the States, because when I landed here, I had no representation of who I saw in the Philippines. I didn't have that here in the States. I was like, why don't I see any other people that look like me except for my family? So that journey of building myself started at that age. You know, I was looking for the representation. I was looking for knowing who I was and that identity. You know, where do I connect to? Who do I connect to? And there wasn't, I mean, this was in the 80s. So there really wasn't much, you know, to see on TV. There wasn't much to see about Asian women in movies or things like that. Unless there were things that I could see, it was just something that wasn't very obvious to me. So as a young Asian American woman now, it's like, okay, where do I see myself? And I've always known I was strong physically. You know, it's funny, my parents actually thought I was going to be a boy, and then I came out a girl.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay.
So now it was like, okay, my dad was always the one, like he always asked me to do the heavy things. He always asked me to do, you know, I was the tool girl. You know, like, give me this tool, because I feel like he already knew I was physically strong. So he used it, he used it. So I did all those things. And in my mind, I already knew I was physically strong, but how did I harness all that? Yeah. You know, how did I harness that to be the strong, like, powerlifter woman today?
Absolutely.
You know, I had the identity crisis through high school. There wasn't that representation of a strong Asian American woman that I wanted to be. You know, like people always like, I want to be like this. I want to be like Oprah. I want to be this. I didn't experience that.
Now, let me ask you, with that being said, and you saw other folks, other women like Oprah, like Sally Jesse, like, you know, yes, right? And you saw movies like Working Girl or 9 to 5 or Baby Boom, those types of movies, and that representation, although they're not Filipino, you know, was that ever something that you could look at and say, oh, I can do that too?
Those movies did not attract me.
Really?
It didn't attract me to, like, I specifically think of the 9 to 5 with Dolly Parton.
Right.
And, you know, the only reason why I resonated with the secretary and an assistant was because my mother was one.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So I knew that realm of education. I knew that realm of work, and that's what I saw.
Gotcha.
And I always thought, and I, being, the obedient Filipino American Asian woman, I didn't make a lot of ruffles. I didn't ruffle those feathers. I didn't make a lot of noise. I was taught at a young age to assimilate.
Right.
To
Right.
assimilate. And that really messed up my confidence.
Interesting.
Because I didn't know who I was.
Yeah, I can understand that. So thank you for talking about that, because that's so important that other Filipinas, other women of color, they hear what you're saying, because they too might also feel as if they don't have representation out there, that things don't resonate. What they see in the movies, what they see on magazines doesn't resonate with them. So thank you for mentioning that. So next question. Everything you do is full of passion and strength based. So let's jump into one of the first obviously unique things that you do, and that's being a power lifter. Tell us about that and how that evolved, how you got there.
Okay, so the first time I was ever in a gym that had bigger weights and bigger images of more muscular women, more muscular men, I was dating this guy. It was I want to say it was in my 20s, like early 20s. And I was doing my thing. I wanted to lift weights because I knew that's something that I liked. I always kind of directed myself to like the bigger dumbbells. Let's see how many plates I could put on this machine and see if I can lift it.
Wow.
And the guy that I was dating, in a roundabout manner, told me, you know what, Laarni, you're lifting more than me, and I don't think you should lift that much. Because I was outlifting him.
Wow.
I was outlifting him. He was measuring my calves and comparing it to his.
Wow. So he felt uncomfortable?
Yeah, threatened, uncomfortable. I don't know.
Did you ever ask him?
You know what? I learned this through the owner of the gym.
Oh.
He would tell the owner of the gym his thoughts and feelings, but he would like do these little these messages. Hey, let me measure your calves. Let me measure your biceps. And he'd be like, oh man, your biceps are bigger than mine. Your calves are bigger than mine. And I didn't think anything of it until it was, revealed to me from the owner. That's how he felt.
Wow. How interesting. Oh my goodness. So speak more to how this developed for you. What drew you to this? Number one, I know you always, as you said from early on, you were kind of like the strong young woman, but how did this continue on in life, and how has this helped you?
Yes. So after that relationship, I made myself small because I really thought that's the only way people would love me. A guy would love me, is if I was the small, petite. I'm only 5 foot. And if I would lose half of me, I would be that magazine cover. I would feel like I could fit in. And I didn't fit in with all his friends' girlfriends. I didn't fit into that because I want to do other things and they wanted to do other things. And so, I was always on my own, independent. And whatever I wanted to do, I just didn't have the confidence to do it. And so fast forward a few years, I've tried a whole bunch of different fitness things. I have my blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and I have tried I thought I was a runner for like a year or so. I ran like a 5K every weekend, and I was like, you know what? Wow. I am not a runner. And I would fall back to that time of my life of lifting heavy. I was like, you know what? That's where I felt most comfortable. I felt most challenged lifting heavy. So one day in March 2019, I said, you know what? I was trying to tie my shoe and I couldn't reach my shoe because I was breathing heavy. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym. Let me look at the personal trainers. One of them was a powerlifter who had competed. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to train with her. Yeah. And so when we started, she's the one that really pushed me into like, hey, you know what? You should try this. You're really good at it. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know. But then when I did my first competition in November, I was like, I'm hooked. I am hooked, because it really built my confidence in myself. It really built the capability I had in my body.
Yes.
Because you just don't know what your body is capable of until you push it a little bit.
Right.
And so that's really changed my mindset to make sure that, I had to teach myself that I was a lot stronger than I ever thought I was. And now, with all the lessons I've learned in powerlifting, I share that with other women.
Yeah.
I share that with the people I talk to, because, that's why I'm so passionate about strength and power, because a lot of women don't realize that they have it in them.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I go back to conditioning.
Yes.
What society says, what we see around us a lot of times. So that's why it's so great having these conversations, because when people see somebody that looks like Laarni, like me, that doesn't fit exactly that perfect square, that perfect circle, in regards to what's being shown on a magazine or what's being, and that's most of us. That is most of us. We are uniquely different, beautiful, inspiring, strong. And I love the area that you come from, that you're pulling in here, from passion to strength, and that you're talking about this. So this leads me to my next question. So you had a traditional job and then you went through into coaching. How did you do that? How did you make that transition? And what sparked that for you?
Oh gosh, this is one of my favorite stories, because as much as the pandemic hurt a lot of people, I took it as a sign. I took it as, okay, I lost my job in March 2020. And, I was like, oh shoot, I just got let go from my job. And then I was like, you know what, this is the time that I'll keep looking. I'll keep looking for a job. I fell back to that, the safety net of my education of being an athletic trainer and everything. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep looking for this same job. And I had a job lined up starting in April. So I'm probably a month after I got let go from my job. They called me 2 days before I started on the Monday to say, hey, you know what, Laarni, with this pandemic, we don't know what's going to happen. So we don't have that contract that you're going to work for. Oh. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay. Well, all right. Well, I'll take a few more weeks of vacation and keep looking at the same time.
Right.
And I had another job lined up in June. I was like, cool. I'm right back into it. They called me the Friday before I started on the Monday to tell me the same thing.
Right.
Hey, Laarni, that contract that you're supposed to work, well, with the pandemic, we don't know what's going to happen. So you don't have the contract. I was like, oh, shoot. So instead of dwelling in me being so pissed off, right, I went to go get my hair done. I went to the hair salon.
What do? You go get your hair done.
I go get I needed some salon sessions. So I'm like, I'm going to go. So I'm telling my hairdresser about what happened in my old job, but also like the things that were going on and what I was seeing, because I was getting to see a lot of other things. The time that I didn't get to scroll on the internet, I was having that time because I didn't have a job.
Right.
And I was seeing how a lot of women were putting themselves backwards when it came to applying for a position. I read a study that said, if there was a job that was open, a man will apply for it, whether he's qualified or not. He'll just apply for it.
Right.
A woman will go, I need 2 more years. I don't think I'm worthy for it. And we talk ourselves out of applying for the job.
Right.
And so I was telling my hairdresser this, and I'm like, you should just apply. We should just apply, because you know what? Who knows? Maybe we need to learn this. And what if they say yes? What if they say, you know what? We love your resume. We're going to teach you this and this is this,
Yes.
There's always that possibility of the other side.
Certainly.
And this girl who I didn't know at the hair salon, she came up to me and she said, thank you for saying that. And I was like, what? She's like, I really needed to hear that. I needed to know that I'm stronger and I should be more, I'm capable of applying.
Yeah.
And after that validation from her, because someone I didn't know,
Yeah.
I realized this is what I was meant to do. I am meant to use my physical strength to mentally carry
Yes.
someone to their start line, to let them know that they are so much stronger than they think they are. And then when I get them to their start line, it's up to them to move their forward direction.
Right.
But until then, we always need help. We always need to reach out. So I started the Strong and Mighty company.
Yeah. Love it. So my next question is, how do you then help support your clients to recognize, one, which is really important, recognizing their strengths, and then to build on them?
So that's really part of the Tools of Strength program.
Mm-hmm.
So I created the Tools of Strength program based on my experience, based on me building her. And when I say her, HER, it's I have every right. I have every right to look for opportunity. I have every right to be whoever I want to be. But it's I have to make the decision to build that vision. I have to make the decision to build upon a foundation where I can continue to move forward. So when I am speaking to clients or potential clients, the first part of the Tools of Strength program is looking within yourself. Take that inner inventory, because there's usually something there that is holding you back subconsciously.
Yeah.
For me, it was my family.
Uh-huh.
For me,
Right.
it was my culture.
Right. Yes.
You know,
That conditioning, that
yes.
modeling, what you were
Yeah.
told to keep quiet, assimilate, adjust accordingly. Yes, I get what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
So it like takes them. That's like usually the hardest part, because people, they don't accept it. They don't accept, like, part of it is our fault, because as we grow older, we do have the will to make the decisions. But when we are younger, that 5-year-old you, it could be holding you back.
Yeah.
And sometimes those experiences, maybe it needs to be talked with a professional person, but some of those things, maybe it's something you have to be like, I was scared of the high dive. I was scared of jumping in the pool.
Right.
And they get to the pool and they're just like, no, I can't do it. But
Yeah.
why? Like, why? So those hard questions have to be answered.
Yeah.
That's
And I
always
love
step
what
one.
you talk about here, Laarni, in regards to the inner inventory. And that is so key, because when you're coming from something that you've created, like a strength-based program, a strength-based ideology, you're really talking about where's that strength going to originate from?
Mm-hmm.
Not from the exterior, but from within.
Correct.
And a lot of people are afraid to look within. A lot of people don't even know where to begin. So it's programs like yours that are really very helpful in the beginning to the middle to get them to that starting line. As you said, it
Mm-hmm.
is so important for somebody like you to have the tools to say, these are your tools to use as well. These are important tools. You can use these tools to get you to that starting line.
Exactly.
And feel confident about this, and feel confident in yourself. And doing that in an inner inventory really helps, because it makes you take a good look at where you are at that point. And then it also gives you that baseline as you go forward to look at how far you've come.
Exactly. And then you could do it again.
Yes.
And then do it again. Depends on what part of your life you're in. You do it again. You start over. Sometimes things don't work out. You start over.
Yeah.
Because there's always those experiences that can become an anchor,
Right.
where it prevents you from moving.
Right. And here's the other thing too, which I really love, Laarni. This is a skill set that you're learning, that you're adopting, that you're learning, that you're enhancing, but you're never wholly starting over, because you've already gained some incredible wisdom throughout your life. You've already gained certain skill sets. They're transferable, and they are added to that recipe of sorts that you come in with and say, here's more tools. Here are more tools to really get clear about your own inner strength and where you can go with that. And so that's why I think it's so important, because people forget that and get scared that they think they're starting over. And it's like, well, we're readjusting, we're re-strategizing, and we're learning new tools.
Yes.
And here you are presenting them with a new set of tools saying, hey, come on, let's do this. Let's get strong. Let's build that inner strength and that power. I love it, because I've been watching some of your videos as well on Instagram, and I'm like, look at her go with those weights. So not only is she internally strong, but then she's also physically strong. And so you are representing that, and I absolutely adore that. It's fantastic. So let's talk a bit about a particular personal challenge that you've confronted and how you've leaned into your strength to overcome it.
Ooh, that's a good one, because there's a few. There is definitely a few. But I will take it back to powerlifting. I will take it back to powerlifting because it's taught me so many things that parallel into like my business world.
Okay.
And the one thing is, when you're competing, I mean, I don't know if how many listeners have gone to a powerlifting meet, but there's a ton of people. There's a lot of distractions.
Yeah, I've been. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
A ton of distractions. And the challenge there is to focus. And again, that is looking inside yourself to find that focus so you're not easily distracted. Because when you're there, you're on a mission. You are on a mission to do 100% the best you can, to do everything you possibly have learned and trained in 4 months. This is it. Yeah. Even though if it's not a big competition, it's a competition.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to win. I want to win.
You are, as you said, you are on a mission, and that means really getting focused, really looking in internally and saying, I've got this strength. And it's funny. I'm going to give you an example. So when I'm at the gym, and I've been around a lot of Marines because I was a Marine Corps spouse for 21 years, until my husband retired, but he's once a Marine, always a Marine, right? So I'm on base and I'm around a lot of guys, and some guys are like lifting the weights and they're like focusing and they're like, oh, I'm getting this up. And then you have these other guys who are like, ooh, ah, and they start yelling. And I'm like, what?
Yes.
Can they take that noise and can they harness that? And take that strength and put that inside of them and just lift that weight. Because when I think about that mission, I'm thinking about everything you're doing at that moment. You've got to be present. You've got to be focused. Yep. You've got to tune out that external noise.
Yes. 100%.
And you've got to be ready.
You got to be ready. And that takes that lesson from powerlifting.
Yeah.
I've had to overcome my fear of getting in front of 1,000 people I don't know in my singlet.
Yeah.
And every roll, every panty line, everything is seen. Yeah. You're wearing this. My belly hangs over the belt line. So what? Right. I had to get over that.
Right.
That challenged my vision of my body image.
Right.
People are looking at that and people, oh my God, are people judging me? Oh my God, are they going to see this? Whatever. And that image there is something I had to get over. Yeah. It's even this image, like you seeing me talking with me. Right. I had to get over the image of being scared to share my story. Yeah. And it's the challenge of overcoming my low self-esteem, my low self-belief, my low self-confidence, that I had to get over it.
Right.
And I had to work through a lot of things, but to parallel it with powerlifting, I had to get over the judgment. I had to get over, I'm there for one thing, and that's to lift the bar off the ground as quickly as possible, get those 3 white lights and put it down.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's those 3 white lights. Like now that I think about it a little bit more, like the 3 white lights, that's life.
Right.
That's
Ooh.
what you always want is 3 white lights.
Yeah. Ooh, there's something new. Yeah. There's a new theory to integrate into your program. The 3 white lights.
3 white lights.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, and you have to get off your own self-loathing of,
yeah,
this isn't, oh my God, I'm not this, I'm not that. You know what? Let's flip it. How about you make the attempt and see what happens?
love it. Yeah, absolutely. And that can be a lot of layering.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of layers as to why you feel the way or used to feel the way you do. And sometimes those ugly things come creeping back up and you're like, hey, go away. You know, and yet you lean into that, you embrace it and say, I love who I am. I love the person that I am. And I have the strength to do anything that I want to do, that I set my mind to. And like you said, it's those 3 white lights. You're there for a mission. So I'm going to move on to the next question because we've got just a couple minutes here, but I want you to touch on your book, Standing in Strength, Inspirational Stories of Power Unleashed. And where can you find this?
Sure. So, the whole, power and strength follow me wherever. So it was very fitting to have my book be Standing in Strength. Oh, Power Unleashed. Okay, great. It all came together. And I've always wanted to be an author, but I didn't want to write a book just to add more noise to the world. I wanted, this book was in the making for at least 20 years. And I decided when I was going to do this book, I wanted women and from all different areas, from all different athletics, movements, whatever, to share their stories of overcoming. How did those fitness moves, how did that sport, like what did you learn as an athlete that has now, changed the way you think about yourself?
Yeah.
And these 7 women, including myself in the book, we share that journey. We share how we came to the sport. What did we learn into the sport? And now how are we helping the community outside the sport? And that really at the end of the chapters and the messages from the chapters just means that there are other women reading that chapter that say, you know what, if she can do it, I can too. Or, well, I didn't know that you can do that. Or it's just more of a reflective book and lessons to learn, because this is only 7 women when there's a bajillion women out there that can learn. We can learn from each other, that we can understand that, everybody overcomes a body image bully. Right. Or overcomes a judgment bully or something like that. But maybe sometimes that judgment comes from within us, that we're judging ourselves so harshly that we can't move forward.
Right.
So this book, when it comes to Power Unleashed, I mean, I feel like the representation for, especially like women in sports, like we need more.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the representation in women's sports is needed. Because again, I mean, we're leaving this legacy for the upcoming generation.
Absolutely.
This generation needs to know that they are capable, that they are worthy of doing this, and that they don't have to fit a mold of what society brings them.
Oh, absolutely. Well said. There's so much media, so much shown, even when we were growing up. And I think even when we were growing up, there weren't as many women speaking up about this. So it's nice that these young women have so many women of our generation that say, hey, we need to make a change. And we want to show you how. We want to be that conduit to help you, support you. Yes. And we're out here for you. So thank you for writing this book, Standing in Strength, and these inspirational stories. And these unique journeys and paths, sharing that with us of these women that share their stories, because it's so important, because you never know which story is going to resonate with that reader. And by the way, the cover on this book is gorgeous. So I love it. I love it. And you guys out there listening, you can find this on Amazon, and this will be in the copy as well. My last question for you, Laarni, is if you were to leave the listeners with some words of wisdom, what would they be?
Yes, this is my definition of greatness. And that is outperform and outgrow the standards set upon you. Because I had to do it. I was living somebody else's standard. I was living somebody else's expectation. It was up to me to outgrow it. It was up to me to find the opportunity. It was up to me to build the vision of who I think or who I want to be. And that's why I built her. That is who I am.
Oh, bravo. Oh, I absolutely love that. Thank you, Laarni, for joining me on the Core Women podcast today.
Thank you so much. It was great. I loved it. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. If you'd like to connect with Laarni Mulvey, you can find her on both her Facebook pages at Laarni Mulvey and Strong and Mighty Company. And you can also find her on Instagram at Laarni Mulvey and Strong and Mighty Company. She's got 2 pages there, and her website, which is www.laarnimulvey.com.
Thank you for joining us on the Core Women podcast with Dr. Summer Watson. We're so glad you're here and would love to connect more with you. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Core Women, and on Twitter at Core Women 1. For more about Core Women and Dr. Watson, visit corewomen.com. Want more support and resources for amazing women like you? Great! Join Dr. Watson and Jen Fontanilla at the Life, Love, and Money Collective, a Core Women production that aids in understanding the key traits that might be getting in the way of living a life that you are absolutely passionate about. Connect with Summer and Jen and find out more at thelifeloveandmoney.com.